So welcome to anyone who is watching our postscript or post transmission share. It's the 11th of August 2026, the day before the new moon in Leo solar eclipse, partial eclipse in the UK, and it's also a south node in Leo eclipse portal. And this is the 11th of August. I would like to first of all thank Anca for the amazing, beautiful, deeply felt transmission that she just brought through. So thank you so much. And thank you to anyone who watched this. If you are encountering this video and haven't watched the transmission yet, I would love to invite you to go and watch that and feel whether you wanted to participate in that for yourself first. If you have watched that, then you will know that I mentioned something for myself connected with the ley lines of England, the British Isles, the UK, and further and wider than the UK to all of the women throughout the world who are actively working to bring their light and their divine knowing through however you perceive it for yourselves, whatever is your intuitive, divine, feminine, loving work that you do. And I just want to acknowledge to you, Anca, that the words that you used during your transmission were incredibly beautiful for me. And I'm sure for all of us, for many of us watching that. The Sophionic women, the Mary Magdalene essence, the feminine Christed light. There are so many women walking that path, the Grail priestess. However that feels for individuals, there is a depth and truth that we know in our body, regardless of the words that comes out of our mouth. There is a feeling.
Or the labels, or sometimes I was even talking with someone yesterday about it. We don't have other words for certain things yet. Until we have them, we use that specific word. And talking about Mary Magdalene, for example, just an example, she's many things and she's many facets and she's perceived differently by many women. She's not just this one thing.
Yeah.
And I perceive her in a way, and she's for me in a way, and she brings a certain frequency for me in my life, and for someone else can bring a different frequency, a different tone, even a different color or a different path. But it's still the same essence you connect to.
Yes. And what I perceived was enormous, and it could be very triggering for people, some people, but I also feel to share it because it was my truth of what I perceived. So, and I just want to check with you before I share. Are you in a place to receive my share?
Yes, please, very curious. Whatever it is, bring forth the truth. You know, I can receive any type of truth.
Thank you. So I'm going to try and bring it in the way that it came through to me. So we knew that we were dealing with England. I actually went to Canterbury Cathedral, and some people watching may know that Canterbury Cathedral is almost like the spiritual religious home of it's like really the seat of Christianity in the Church of England in the UK of modern day, even though it feels very strange to say modern, Christianity. And for me, because I work with so many, in inverted commas, past timelines,
Yeah.
which to me are not past. Everything is in the here and now and felt in the here and now, in the eternal moment of now that we perceive and receive and transmute through our divine vessel, through our body. What I experienced was, and this feels very, very truthful for me. And I'm going back through many ages all at the same time, through many layers at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at the location of the shrine of Thomas à Becket, which to me feels very pure, a very true love of Christ. And the pilgrimages that many, many people used to make to that shrine, to that location, in what is known as the Trinity Chapel, has been very truthful, honest, and done for the love of Christ, for the love of God through many ages. And that is true, that exists. And it is also true that many people have been harmed in many, many ways through the patriarchal constructs of the way that Christianity has been constructed. And wars have been fought, and many people have been harmed and their lives ended in many, many ways, so many ways, and so many people who are attached to those lifetimes will still feel on an oversoul level some form of control or harm or hurt. And I feel very deeply, and have done for a while over the recent years, I have felt a very deep energy of forgiveness from the mother, and a very strong energy from Mother Mary, the mother energy, the mother's love. And I mention this specifically because the ones who, I'm going back pre-Reformation, that happened throughout Europe and particularly in the UK. I mention this specifically because at the Reformation, a lot was destroyed and a lot was lost. And I hold the codes through my being, through my life. I understand and feel into that. This is natural for me to feel into what was destroyed and what was lost between the 1530s and now. I feel that. I feel the pain for England.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm inviting anyone who resonates with this to go back further, wherever you feel to go back to, whether that is the mother's love of, I've been working with Mother Mary since I was 5 years old, 1983. So that's a lot of embodiment of the mother energy. And there has been a lot of transmuting and loving of the divine child in every human being who has ever walked this earth plane. That mother's love. And that heartbreak of Mother Mary, of her son's death and sacrifice. and anyone who has ever made a type of sacrifice in their lives and felt that pain, there is a washing over of the mother energy. And I have felt that for years. What I would like to share is the energy of the wife, of the sacred union, of the Magdalene codes, of how she came through today, and how Mary Magdalene's energy infused the whole of Canterbury Cathedral. Thank you. Infused the energy of the Bible, the tombs, the energy of the entire building, of the networks, the ley lines underneath, the enormity of all of that land. Just having a bit of water.
Wonderful.
What I saw was the ruby rose. And the ruby rose was as big as my womb space inside of me, with unfurling petals spreading out, healing all of my personal womb space, entire sacral chakra, solar plexus. But more than that, every divine masculine imprint that has known how to bring through the love of Jesus, of the divine masculine Christ consciousness, because that is present. I feel that so deeply. There are so many men throughout the years, and I want to honor those men who have walked this earth plane and in their own way loved God, loved this earth, loved their brethren, loved their wives, loved their children. And yes, there have been so many ways that humanity has lived odd lifetimes, odd social constructs, but moving beyond the odd social constructs that didn't truly support the holy family within us all. There is that divine masculine love, and that is now opening to the Magdalene essence. When you invited us to drop our own codes to anchor what we had done down into the earth, I saw my own codes light up like never before. And again, that was an enormous, like giant that I can't even express, a giant ruby rose that connects with the tree root network. So it's at that level. So my big Magdalene rose, ruby rose, connects with the tree networks and underneath all of the ley lines that connect the abbeys and churches and druidic sites and pagan sites and Celtic sites and whatever culture you connect with. There is no judgment here. There is no dogma here. I want to thank the Archbishop of Canterbury, who is a woman, for her work. There is no separation here. And if that is triggering to some people, I invite anyone hearing this to work through their anger and move through it at your own pace. It's okay. Any judgment, any preconceived ideas, any old mental constructs, any old paradigms, there are so many. This is enormous work, lifetimes of work that we are bringing through our bodies and our minds in this lifetime. It's enormous. There are so many oversouls of men and women ready to reconnect with their divine feminine aspects, to allow her in. And so many women who have deeply connected with their divine feminine, ready to be held and loved and supported by their true divine masculine. What I would like to bring through is the solar eclipse that occurred exactly 27 years ago today. I happen to be in Rhodes in Greece, at the site of the ancient wonder of the world that's no longer there because it was destroyed by earthquake, Colossus, which was a statue to the sun god Helios. Great place to be standing to the sun god Helios at the point where the sun goes into total darkness because of an eclipse. You can't really make it up, but you don't need to, because real life is the glory. The real life has the codes. And that was 27 years ago today, 11th of August, 1999. There is a pairing of this portal. There was some form of switch over. I like to call it a switch over. For me, it wasn't great, but you know, let's not judge this. I feel that many of us lived our own story of the Magdalene suppression. For me, it came through as I went to my first graduate job very shortly after that eclipse, and I was raped and attacked to the point of near death. So that was my career over. That old paradigm career was never going to happen for me. And some of us have been walking this path in isolation, in confusion, in fear, in terror, under threat, under suppression, in plain daylight for all these years. And this eclipse portal feels like a whole new switch over to a whole new, different way of being, where there are so many of us holding these new codes. And they're not new codes at all. They're sacred ancient wisdom that we have reclaimed and remembered within ourselves. And we walk with all our ancestors, all our other lifetimes and selves, all of us together. Thank you for hearing what came through for me.
Thank you for sharing it. It was massive, as you said, and I'm sure it is felt even massively in your own experience, in your own body. What is funny and nice and beautiful is that I also connect with Mary Magdalene through the Ruby Rose. Somewhere there, yeah. That's one of the candles. but she always for me was that dark red thread and connected to the wound liberation a lot, to the blood that, as we begin to know now in the modern world, is also sacred and healing, into the courage and strength that a woman holds in her bones to walk this path of devotion, which for some may look like a unicorn and, you know, puffy, glittery path, but it's actually not. It's a path that, as you also shared, brings forth a lot of tears, a lot of pain, a lot of redemption, a lot of atonement, a lot of anger, a lot of, because all of those wounds and shadows and past lives, whatever you want to call it, need to be cleansed and alchemized. The way that I see things is we are walking the path of remembering of what we already know and who we already are. And the work that we're doing is actually partly healing and mostly clearing, letting go the layers that we have actually been born into, because we have been born into the distortion, into all of the pain, into all of the suffering, into the generations and centuries and millennia of. So now we're like the torch bearers. This is the image that I see now. We're like the torch bearers, the light bearers, the love bearers, if you want, who, no matter how many scars we have, we're still, even more so, carrying the light. More love, more peace, more kindness. It is amazing. It is mind-blowing. It is like, in any like human common sense way, we should be crushed, but we're stronger. We're bolder. We're softer. We're richer. We're even more us, ourselves. And that's the remembering and return to the natural, organic way, path of being as wise women, oracles, visionaries, leaders of the new paradigm. That we always were, because this is something in our soul. This is something we carry in our energy. It's not conditioned to this vessel. More than that. And you are one of the most powerful women through those scars that you carry with such grace and love and softness and the mother energy you spoke about. And I felt Mother Mary present the entire time, probably because she's with you all the time. And I too have a connection with her, not the way that you have it, but it's like she is there and she is present. And what I wanted to say at one point is of your share, my path with reconnecting with the mother energy and frequency began with Mother Earth, and with Mother Mary. I remember this thing of being called into a pilgrimage. I was not religious at all. I was not going to church. And someone just appeared and told me, I have a spot for you in this pilgrimage. She didn't call it pilgrimage, to the Medjugorje site in Bosnia. I had no idea what that was. Never heard of it. Was not into pilgrimages. I was like, I don't know, 20 something. I had already began my work, but it was very incipient. And it insisted, the message insisted, the woman insisted. After a few days, she again came up. You need to come. I have a spot for you. And I was like, I don't have the money. I don't have the means. I don't know. Like, I can't. Like, all of that. And I remember I had this painting of Mother Mary on my wall back then, above my bed. And I turned to her and I'm like, okay, if you want me there, you bring me whatever I need to be there. Financially and resource and all I need, because I don't know how I can make it work. And so she did. And it was not like a miracle, because this is also an important part. It's not like she descended from heavens and gave me money or something. No, she prompted me with an idea, with an inspiration that I had the next morning. I put out that type of offer, and that's how money came. So I followed the steps, the inner prompts, if you want. And I got there to that site, and it was, to the day, it is the most powerful, one of the most powerful experiences I've ever had, that opened my connection with Mother Mary and the womb and the pink rose for me. There's also Jesus there. There's also his statue and a part of that. But that for me was her calling to meet her and to begin my pilgrimage and my work with the womb. So when I didn't have the loving mother in my life, and I didn't know how motherly love feels, when I began to do this work, and I began to do the work with the inner child, all the wounding, I turned to what I could feel resembles the mother's energy, and that was Mother Earth. And I would just lay on Mother Earth. I would lay down on my back and allow myself to sink into her energy, into her embrace, and let myself be loved in that unconditional way, steady, present way that I never had growing up as a child. And then Mother Mary came into the picture as well. And that is also an addition with the masculine that I wanted to bring forth, because I feel is very important for people who may be on this path right now and need some kind of something, some support. I had a lot to work through, as you too, with the masculine energy, with all of the savage things that have been done to women along the centuries, my lineage and more than that, that I felt in my body as I walked this path of clearing, of healing, of purging, of all of that. And I didn't know how love felt from a masculine. I didn't know what a loving masculine was. I didn't have that. So I turned to Jesus. And I built my relationship with Jesus. Every time I needed the arms of a man to hold me in that unconditional way, in that loving way, I closed my eyes and I went into the arms of Jesus and I let go. And I had this period of time where I would pray every day for him to clear and take that anger and that hate in my heart, so that I can forgive and know what that love looks like and feels like. When you don't have, that was my point, when you don't have human love in your life, there's always the love of Jesus, there's always the love of Mother Mary, there's always the love of God, there's always somewhere you can turn to begin to feel and embody and know how it is, not only talk about it. And so that is like a portal, a means, a way of healing the relationship with both feminine and masculine, that seeps in, ripples into the daily life, into the very concrete, practical life. Of course, when you meet Jesus and when you keep him close and you pray and you have that relationship, he will move things and shift things in you and in your life, in your relationships. That's why faith for me is so important, and I speak about faith so much. Faith is so important. So there's always a way. Even if you're in the lowest, even if you're in a place of rage, in a place of deep hurt and grieving, we all have been there. And thank you for sharing your piece of the story that was horrific to live through. But you're here now. And as I said, to conclude the circle, you're here now, stronger, softer, shinier, more beautiful, bolder, more courageous, more in your power, more you than you've ever been before. And that's possible for everyone. That was a bit of a transmission that was unplanned. Thank you for receiving it.
It was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. And you've reminded me that during your transmission, not this one, the one that you did earlier, I laid on the floor at some point. You would, if you watched that, anyone, I'm assuming that everyone would have had their eyes closed, but if you didn't, you would see me disappear. I was lying on the floor. As a projector, I find it easier to lie on the floor and process and receive rather than sitting up. And maybe other people do as well. But I just suddenly remembered words that came through. So when I was present with the Magdalene energy and with the Ruby Rose, what kept coming through were the words, I am always with you. I have always been with you. I will always be with you. And I feel that that was Jesus speaking with all of us, but it was so much. I experienced it so many ways round. It was the divine feminine speaking to the divine, sorry, it was the divine masculine speaking to the divine feminine and vice versa. And it was everybody. So it seemed to feel like such a healing mantra that can be used in so many ways.
And that is the message that I got. Like a week ago, I was on a hike in nature, and it was a complete silence. One of the silences I love the most is the silence on the top of the mountain when there's no sound, or in a deep forest where there's no sound, not even a buzz. We all, in our modern life, we always have that buzz, even if it's silence. So in that deep quiet, taking steps, I had this moment where God was present and sent me this message, exactly this message. In this deep silence, I am always. You find me always here. I am here. I'm always here. People are afraid of silence. People are burdened and triggered and overwhelmed by silence and by that deep quietness in a deep forest, for example. Because that's where they meet God, the love of God, the safety of God, and we do not know what that is. We have never been told, we have never been led, we have never experienced truly how it is to be unconditionally, continuously, constantly loved, no matter how bad you think you are, no matter how much of a screw up you think you are, or society told you are. That is one of the things that scare people, because you have no experience of being constantly, completely loved, even at your lowest or at your meanest, you know. And that's a message that needs to ripple and knock at the hearts of people.
Thank you for sharing that and for saying that. It's incredibly beautiful and so true. I am always with you. I have always been with you. I will always be with you.
Yes. What a beautiful way to conclude.
Thank you to everyone who has watched this. Again, as I said in the other transmission, if anyone feels to reach out to either myself or to Anca, please do contact us at the details below. And thank you for your presence and energy, anyone who is watching here today. And thank you, Anca, for your love, your energy, your perspectives.
Thank you so much to Rachel for all you are and for the sharing that you shared with us today too.
My pleasure.